Hi guys, welcome back to another cinematic mic review. Today I'm reviewing the Michael Bay's Armageddon. In Armageddon, we actually open up with some space astronauts actually working on something, and an accident occurs which causes things to just blow up. And I gotta mention, in this opening, there's something that happens that actually made me laugh. It's the scene where this astronaut actually, the whole explosion happens, and this astronaut's mask, his glass breaks off, and he ends up screaming in space. And right away, the first thing that I said is, you can't scream in space. And I'm not 100%. I think it's true because of what I read in other films that I've seen about space. And I think that's how I learned about it, is because I think there was another film, I'm not sure if it was Gravity, where I had read about it. And they were talking about how they wanted to be an accurate space film and how other space movies didn't portray space right. And right away when I saw this film, that was the first thing I said is, you can't scream in space. In this film, there's a great cast. You got Bruce Willis, you got Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler, Billy Bob Thornton, Keith David, Owen Wilson, Michael Clark Duncan, Steve Buscemi. I mean, they're good actors for me. I've seen them in other films and I like them in the other films. But in this story, there's something that's not right with this story, with this group of actors, because I feel like probably their talents isn't put to good use in this film. And I'm not sure if around this time they still weren't known, because this is an old film, and I'm not sure if around this time they're barely getting known. But me, I already know them, and I like the cast, but I wish there was more to them in this story. I like that the film progresses right away. I mean, you got the astronauts right away. It opens up with the astronauts. The explosion happens right away. You don't know what's going on, and then you find out that an asteroid is actually coming down to Earth, and there's a time limit, and they got to find out a way to solve that problem. And one of the ways they figure out how to solve the problem is to actually hire some oil drillers to actually place a bomb in the asteroid. That way, it could just blow on its own up and not ever make an impact on Earth. Now, I like the characters and I don't like the characters. One of the reasons why I like the characters at first, when it's barely starting, I like this immaturity that they have, that they kind of have with one another. It kind of makes me want to watch them because of the way they speak to one another, and it seems interesting. Like, oh, let me see what they're gonna fight about. Let me see what they're gonna argue about. Uh, but then the other part I don't like about it for the story, because they're still immature, and I feel like this is a serious. This should be more of a serious story with the asteroid coming down. When I was watching the film, I was actually thinking about the space aspect of it and the oil drilling aspect of it, and I thought, would an oil driller actually know about space? Would oil drillers really be able to go to space right away? Or wouldn't they have to take like a long time to actually learn about space and all the things, all the I mean, I think you'd have to go to school for like more than a year to actually learn all that stuff. I wouldn't think you could just hire someone, because I really don't think that oil drilling connects to space. If I'm wrong, then please correct me. And so, yeah, that's part of the thinking that I got in my head when I thought about it, is would these people actually be able to go there right away? I mean, they're they're a different job occupation than this, and I think uh, NASA's like something serious, like something really serious, that you probably have to like dedicate your life to actually learning all those things, and they just gonna hire these people out of nowhere, pick them up, and throw them out there in space. And like, there's a scene where they're like, oh, this is your crew, and they're actually like astronauts people. And then the main character, Bruce Willis, actually talks about how he doesn't want to take that team and he wants to take his oil drilling team. And I'm like, I would rather have those people actually go up there than that team. I think that the comedy aspect of the film actually kind of throws off the seriousness, and I think there's just way too much jokes. These characters are so immature, and I feel like this film's trying to be a serious topic about space, about an asteroid actually coming down to like be the end of the world. And I feel like the comedy kind of throws off the seriousness, where you feel like, okay, this is just a comedy. It's not a serious film. Uh, so that's kind of one part that kind of bothered me. I mean, as I said, with there's a part that I kind of like and I don't like the characters, and the immaturity of them kind of made it a little bit likable. So you kind of feel for them a bit, but not totally, as I wish I would have cared for them a bit more. Because when I saw the film, I really wasn't caring for anybody. I didn't care who died, who was at risk. It didn't make me like, oh, like, oh no, please don't die. Oh no, he's in trouble. It didn't work. I watched the film and I think I was only hooked on for like an hour. And I gotta say, like after that hour, I kind of was just like laid back, and I was just like watching it, like whatever, like okay, that happens, and then I got to a point where I realized a guy actually brings out a gun, and I'm like, wow, he brought a gun in space, and not only that, it made me think back to the other scenes, and I'm like, wait, aren't these guys like walking normally on this rock and have been walking normally? And isn't it when in space? Because a lady actually mentions it. She talks about how Armstrong seems like he was bouncing when he landed on the moon, and she told him that that's kind of what's gonna happen. But then you see the movie and you see these characters and they're walking normally, and then there's a gun in space, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, wait, didn't they actually use that armadillo to actually shoot um, through the spaceship to get out? And not only in that scene, also there's this part where Steve Buscemi's character is actually going crazy and he's actually shooting bullets out of something. And I thought about it and I'm like, would that work in space? Does that work in space? A gun, bullets going getting thrown. I mean, first of all, you got the guy that screams in space, and I don't think you can scream in space. And now you got guns here, and you got characters walking normally, like if they're in the park, and it's supposed to be a space movie. So that kind of made me think about that, and it made me feel like, okay, this is just like this is going into like just accept what it is, and that's kind of basically how I got into this film because I sunk into my seat and I was just like, okay, I'll just finish it through, and I actually kind of wanted to turn it off. I was kind of over it because even when they get to the part where they get on the uh, in space when they get land on the asteroid, I was already kind of like just like, what are they doing? I'm already out of this film. I don't really care for what they're doing anymore, and that's kind of what happens. I also feel like the scene in the at the when they're putting fuel and they ended up causing that thing to blow up. I felt like that scene was just there to just blow up just because they wanted another action sequence, and I really felt like it didn't do nothing for the story. I mean, I don't know. The story's kind of interesting. An asteroid coming to Earth, kind of basically what it says in the beginning. It's going to be like the when the dinosaurs ended. And but the thing is, there's no good story here. The dialogue's weak. The characters aren't that well developed. I got interested in one character and I was like, oh, maybe we would have focused on that. And it was Will Patton's character because he goes to his wife's house and he has a son, and the son doesn't know that that's his dad. And I thought, oh, maybe if we would have focused on him, maybe it would have been a better story. Or maybe because these people are immature, maybe they can end up maturing with along with this as they go along on this mission. Maybe they can end up seeing serious things and start taking life seriously, and start treating each other a bit more serious. But throughout this whole film, they're still acting immature. They act immature in the beginning. They act immature when they're in training. They act immature when they're on the asteroid, when they're trying to get the things done. And so I thought maybe that would have been a better film, is them actually uh, growing up, learning to be more mature as this incident's about to occur. As I said, I got lost in the film at after. I didn't really care for it, and I kind of wanted to turn it off. So Armageddon is not one that I would recommend. That's my review for Armageddon. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.